Climate change affects everything from geopolitics to economies and even to migration. It shapes cities, life expectancies, and wish lists. A very good day to you and welcome to Spotlight with Kem Kem. My name is Kem Kem. And on Spotlight with Kem Kem today, we're looking at climate change, the environment, and of course, Nigeria's place in it. And who better to discuss that with than Aliu Akosile, who's the editor-in-chief and publisher of Nature News. Little wonder, we're right here in the environment, doing it how we know how to do best. And of course, my guest here is Aliu Akosile. He's not only a journalist, he's a passionate environmental journalist, the publisher and editor-in-chief of Nature News, which is the 12th nature news magazine in the world. A very good afternoon to you. Aliu Akosile, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Kem Kem.
You are a passionate environmentalist. As a matter of fact, you're actually a journalist who has become an environmentalist now.
Absolutely.
What was the journey like for you?
Well, the journey has been interesting. As you know, the matter of environment started long years back, but journalists, being what we are, we hardly took notice of these occurrences until much later in the 80s, when the effect was beginning to get very impactful on our environment. Of course, I started out as an intern in Daily Times in the 86.
Oh, wow.
So that was quite a long time ago.
Absolutely. But come to think of it, we're standing right here, in front of Jabi Lake, where many people may not know, but this is an artificial lake. How does this affect the climate?
Let me tell you that we must commend the visionaries who developed Abuja, who conceptualized this city, this new capital city called Abuja. And I think we must give credit to the late Justice Akinola Aguda, who was the chairman of the presidential committee that came up with the idea of Abuja. You see, they didn't just create, a new capital city. You will see that the city is embedded with a lot of green environment.
Very true.
Most of the districts, we say, Gariki, all of them have areas that have been set aside for environment. And you see this lake, we call it Jabi Lake. If you come here Saturday morning, Sunday morning, you see a lot of people, doing workout, walking around, taking fresh air, enjoying the cozy environment that this lake provides.
How important is greenery for the human being? How important is being amongst greenery for humans?
Okay. Even our creator, the Almighty God, created, this environment, the nature, before he created man. You see, all these things have been created, the sea, ground, forest, and what have you. So, and if you look at the composition, you discover that even this, our earth, is just about 33% of the, universe. The bulk of it is rivers. Yes, what we inhabit as human beings, just the land and water, we just about 33%. So you can see the quantum of provision that the creator of the world itself has made for humanity. Because he feels that, look, we cannot, live a sustainable life if everything is just concrete. You are inside AC in your office, no green, no fresh air.
Actually, the oxygen that comes
oxygen. And today, the impact of climate change, as you have seen, is coming gradually. I mean, even though we say, Africa contributes about 3.3% of the global impact. But then, even in Africa, look at the flooding we had in 2012, then repeated 10 years after in 2022. About 23 states were basically devastated. So having something like a Jabi Lake in Abuja, where people can come, is a big relief. It's a big relief for the environment.
Now, you are the publisher of Nature News, the foremost nature magazine in Africa, rated that way by an international organization, and the 12th in the world, just behind the
National Geographic, Discovery channels and all that.
How prepared are we as a people here in Nigeria for the effects of climate change, since it's dawning on us already?
Yeah, well, Nigeria being a major stakeholder in the world, and of course a major country in Africa, the leader, in terms of population, in terms of all the variables, Nigeria has been playing a leading role. In fairness to those who have been managing the country, we were part of the Paris Agreement 2016. We've signed so many conventions.
Are we keeping to them?
Yeah, that is the big question. Because all these conventions, we are signatories to them. And every country is supposed to have a nationally determined contribution, NDC, to the climate change mitigation and adaptation strategy, the global strategy developed by the United Nations Fund for Climate Change. Now, the question, just as you asked, is how are we doing? How well are we doing in terms of mitigating the effect of climate change? I think Nigeria has a long way to go.
Why? Why do you say that?
Yeah, because first of all, on the policy side, there are a lot of policies that we need to put in place. For instance, let me pick one. Plastic, polythene, is a major contributor to climate change, effect. We pollute the sea, we pollute the environment, and plastics and all this, polythene are not degradable. Now, many countries have banned the use of plastics. Yeah, Kenya, our neighbors.
What are alternatives?
No. Unless government has to. That's why I say on the policy side.
Okay.
On the policy side, of course, you cannot ban something if there are no alternatives.
What is Kenya use?
No, they use paper bag. They use paper bag.
Even for drinks?
Yeah, paper bags. Yeah, things are technology also. Now, even cement that we have.
Yeah.
There are eco-friendly cement being produced now. Dangote is doing it. Lafarge is also doing that. So in every situation, because we are in an emergency where we have to salvage this environment, and if you don't take it as an emergency, we will be relaxing, thinking that we have time, but this thing is catching in.
What are some of the things to be worried about that is catching in if we don't take time?
Okay.
What are some of those things?
Okay.
Flooding, I know, is one.
No, there are many of them. There are many of them. Apart from flooding is just one. Even the heat wave. Recently, a lot of people died in Europe and America because of heat, because the temperature rose as high as 47 degrees centigrade.
Blacks seem to be prepared for
No, we are used to, but at the same time,
for example, they'll say that's cheap.
In the semi-arid zones of Nigeria, all those Katsina, Borno, Kano, going to Meruyola, they are used to it. But gradually it's coming down. It's coming down.
Yeah.
Let's say the average down here is about 35. Very soon you will see that the average will be something 40%. And if it's going like that, we are also going to be having desertification. Desert encroachment is also an aspect of climate change. Yeah. The desert is coming down. Look at this Lake Chad. In the last 50 years, it has shrunk, to barely 20% of its original size. Yeah. It is the effect of climate change. And people who are fishing there, who are getting their livelihood, they cannot no longer do that.
Okay, if we talk about the certification,
yes,
then I think my first thought will be Dubai. Dubai was a desert, but somehow it has become some great city. Yeah. So maybe there is a stroke of fortunacy in that. What can Nigeria do with regards to that?
No, you see, it's a combination of leadership and followership.
Okay.
You see, if you have, because what Dubai is doing,
yes,
it just
was a desert.
No, I know. The desert has been transformed. Even Libya under Gaddafi. Gaddafi introduced what we call the green, revolution.
Okay.
It was a Marshall Plan. Libya is also a desert. Part of,
If we were to introduce a thing like that in Nigeria, what would it take? How do we go about it?
No, well, you see, part of our challenge as a developing country is funding. Okay. We have so many things competing for the fund, the budget. Education, we need money to spend on education. We need health. We need housing, all sorts of things. So that's what brought about the issue of climate financing. which
What is that about? What's
no,
climate
it
financing?
has to do with the paper presented, by the first world countries, Europe, America, saying that, look, we understand your problems in Africa. You see, you have these challenges. You don't have enough resources. We are going to commit $100 million annually for 5 years, which will have started in 2017 or 2016 or 2017, thereabout. As we speak, it hasn't started. They are dealing at all. Nobody has. Well, there have been a lot of conspiracy theories around it. Some of them will wake up and say, look, we don't even trust African leaders. Are you sure? If you give them this money, they are going to commit it to climate mitigation. There is that school of thought. There are also others who are trying to negotiate that, look, instead of giving the money, we can supply, if you need renewable energy, we can ask our companies to come down to Africa and be the one doing that. I think we are amenable to, we are not opposed to that. So there is a lot of politics around it.
Okay, now this climate financing, I know there is something they do outside, in some of these developed, so-called developed countries about carbon credits. So they ensure that if you're saving the world, and all of that, you can earn some carbon credits and all of that. Maybe you could enlighten us a bit as to what that is.
You see, that is having the idea of carbon credit is a global incentive, because the idea is that, look, if you ask people not to use not to burn fossil fuel
like our coal
and what have you, and convert to renewable energy, what is the incentive? For instance, because somebody may say, look, I mean, you are asking me to move away from point A to B, firewood. What is the incentive? So the incentive is that, look, if, for instance, in your company, you are doing 1 million flying hours in a year, and you are able to reduce it to 500,000 flying hours, that is, your executive traveling to Ghana, to UK, to, you are able to reduce that. You earn credit, on flight.
Okay.
Wait, you earn credit on flight. If you are able to transform your energy source from, diesel or whatever, you are able to put 50% of the energy you are using in your office or in your factory or wherever into renewable energy. You can also earn some credit. Now, this credit is traded. Yeah, in the international market, you get value for it as if of course, there are metrics. It will be assessed.
We don't seem to have anything like that.
The level of advocacy is very low.
Okay.
Yeah, there are companies, who are buying into it. Yeah, there are companies who are buying into it.
But we don't have it as a standard yet.
No, none yet.
How do we get there? What do we have to do to get there?
It's part of the policy restructuring that has to take place. As we speak, the ministers have been cleared, ministers nominee. They are yet to be assigned portfolio.
True.
So we need to know who is coming on board on environment, so that stakeholders can, offer support. As I said, it takes two to tango. Advisory, giving suggestions, making some inputs. We are, as a journalist covering environment and passionate about it, we also interview people, we speak to people in the public sector. I know of banks, one or two bank MDs who have told me what they are doing. And it's remarkable. But you see, they need to also escalate it so that what they are doing can be codified under a national policy, whereby even locally in Nigeria, if you are transforming your system from this point to this point, so that you are able to mitigate the likely effect of the climate change on the environment, you earn something, even if it is national recognition.
Okay, but now Nigeria's main dependence for revenue is on fossil fuels.
Yes.
We have not even reached the quota we ought to get to with regards to electricity, something as basic as electricity. There is coal in Enugu, right? There is the fossil fuels we use for diesel, petrol, kerosene and all of that, for firewood, and then we have firewood. How do we transform from the Nigeria we have today to a more environmentally friendly Nigeria, despite the fact that our dependence primarily for revenue in Nigeria is from fossil fuels? What do we have to do?
No, we have to move fast to diversify the sources of our economy. the previous the immediate past government, came up with digital economy. No matter whether we'll set policies aside, they made some appreciable impact on digital economy. Nigeria moved, because digital economy in 2019 or 2015 was like number 4 after oil. But it overtook even agric and became number 2. Then agric number 3. Now we have to scale up, diversify the sources. Digital economy is a major thing because the world today is digital. So if we intensify effort in that regard, we'll be able to reduce our dependence on fossil fuel. But let me also warn you, we have to make haste with caution. Otherwise, our economy can be affected. What I'm saying, in other words, is that look, today we depend heavily on oil. The Dangote refinery in Lagos is perhaps the biggest in the world today. And by the time we start production, we'll be producing like 650,000 barrels per day. Now, that will go into the economy. You use it to run your factory, you use it to run your car, you use it to run your house and what have you. No, the challenge there is that we still have time, because we, as I said, Africa, the developing countries, we have our peculiar, economic challenges. Absolutely. So we cannot move at the same rate. If you go to Sweden or one of the Nordic countries today, even on the road, as you are driving on the road, your car is charging.
Wow.
Yeah, as you are driving, your car is charging.
We don't even have all the roads.
We don't.
We do have good roads, but we don't have those.
We need those infrastructures. And as I said earlier, it costs money. We have so many competing challenges. Education, health, as we are, they are there. Transportation, everything, agriculture, even food security itself, which has indirect correlation to climate change.
Yeah.
You can see the conflict happening in the Middle Belt. Over between herders and farmers. It's also an impact. It's an exemplification of the climate impact, because where they used to graze before, is turning to desert. So they are moving down south. That's why you have a lot of conflicts in Benue, in Niger, in Nasarawa, Niger, going to Kwara, and what have you. So these are things that we need to address. But essentially, as I said, we need, leadership, and of course,
some of policy
cohesion. We have so many policies trickles here and there. We have a national, climate change policy. In fact, there is a National Council on Climate Change, chaired by the president, with VP as the vice chairman, with 7 ministers. The last government, set it up, and governors. You can see high power. I mean, there is hardly any committee that you have that kind of high power. The chairman, the president is the chairman, the VP is the vice chairman. Then you have, and it is all about climate change. But I mean, we need to, move faster.
We need to move faster.
Yeah.
To move faster, we need the people in those committees must know what to do and how to do. Else, they will just be in the committee, high-powered committee. Yeah. But very little steam. I agree with you. It is PPP that we can use to navigate this climate change, imbroglio. Yeah.
Yes, it's PPP.
Let's look at reserved areas.
Okay.
Across the world, there usually are reserved areas, for the environment, so that's
biodiversity
and all of that.
Yeah.
Many of our reserved areas are fast becoming houses and industries and all of that. Is it that we need to move more into the bush, or is it that these people need to stop? What do we need to do as a people?
We have to do the two. Because now we can decide to move a bit into the bush, because urbanization itself is a challenge for environment. Yes, you want to build road, you want to do this thing. The way sometimes, if the planning is not carefully done, you discover you have roads, but you lose the environment.
Sure.
You don't have green areas.
Yeah.
You want to have beautiful houses, but there are no environments. You know, and a lot of, well, I mean, we must give it to some, you know, developers.
Yeah.
You know, now the concept is to have 70% green and 30% concrete in your building. It's a big challenge because they see it as losing money. In a 1,000 square meter, that usually people will put a block of 10 flats. You know, now if you have 4, then have a lot of sit out green areas, trees, what have you. It absorbs the heat, and it also releases, you know, oxygen into the environment.
Look at tourism in Nigeria.
Okay.
It is my belief that tourism in Nigeria is one of the ways to earn money for Nigeria, diversify the economy, also promotes Nigeria, but also keep the fauna and flora, you know, of those environments, so that people can always come, you know, and experience the place. However, tourist sites don't seem to be very well promoted. They don't seem to be very well even visited, not just by people from outside, but as from Nigerians by themselves. What exactly do we need to change that? Because of course, if you leave the city and you go to these tourist sites, you come back refreshed, you come back feeling new, you know. So what do we need to do as a people to encourage tourism amongst even Nigerians themselves?
You see, first of all, tourism has to be developed as an economy.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just see it as a leisure, just a leisure and all that, you may not get it right. I visited quite a few places in Nigeria, you know, including Obudu and what have you. After exhausting a bit of Nigeria, I've been to Kenya. The Games Reserve, the two, you know, Masai Mara and Ngorongoro in Tanzania. I've been to that place also. You know, I've been to Botswana. I've been to, you know, so people want to have, you know, refreshing holidays. But it has to be packaged. It has to be made as an economy. Kenya is making a lot of, you know, money from tourism. So we have not been able to, like, you know, make it, package it. Let's use that word, you know, because when you package it, it's packaging. I know ladies talk about packaging, you know, and when you package it well, it's sold.
So it's packaging.
It's packaging. We have to really grow the tourism into a tourism economy. So it becomes another revenue source. You have the oil economy, the energy economy, you have the digital economy, you have the green economy, you have also the tourism economy, economy if you like. You know, whereby most of these tourist sites, you know, Games Reserve, Yankari Games Reserve, for instance, not these stores, companies, executives or companies going there on holidays with their staff and say, look, 1 week of holidays retreat in this place. People have been to the Yankari Games Reserve twice also.
Do they still have animals there?
No, well, they still have, but you know, a lot of poaching, you know, all these people looking for the tusk of and all that. So they are all over the place, you know, but I think government, the Conservator General and the Conservation Fund, they're doing a lot. They are equipped now, they are armed so that they go to all these reserves to protect them. But still, I mean, Nigerians are. So the tourism has to be packaged as an economy. Then when you package it, you have to also sell it, promote it. If you go online sometimes, you see the way tourist companies or even government, South African government promote tourism. You think that their life depends on it. Sure. And that shows that for you to get it right, you have to package it, you have to, you know, promote it, and of course sell it to the world. As we speak, you know, there are different clubs, you know, debating and society club, this and that, cultural club. But we need, you know, tourism, environment, climate clubs, you know, right from that level, so that we can begin to get the children on board to appreciate the magnitude of the challenge, to also begin to understand, you know, because it starts with everybody. In our different houses, for instance, if a family, head of the family and everybody there is environment conscious, you know that if you want to dispose, polythene bags or whatever, you have a separate place that you dispose them. If you want to dispose tin and all other, container, you have a separate place. Then perishable thing, you have that is what they do in Europe. You go to UK, all the dustbins are separated. You have 4 usually. So that means that even from the family level, we all can do that. That one doesn't require government. We can do that. And today, because a lot of people are making, income from the reuse, recycling of all these plastic bottles. So if it can be a source of income. Recently, I saw that the new Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, the first woman Vice Chancellor in 50 years, came up with the idea of, Green Challenge, where she asks students, every week, you bring the number of plastic bottles you have gathered, and they pay some token as incentive. It's not small, it's big. Because if they do that consecutively, you see that the environment of the university will be so clean. So if every university can replicate that, if ministry can do that, if housing estates, you have so many housing estates, if you enter, you see refuse. What are they doing? So it's not everything about government. Government has to play the lead role. But all of us, we are stakeholders, because when this thing happens, it affects everybody. Absolutely. We always make reference to the flooding. It affected for 2-3 days. People were sleeping in Lokoja. Somebody going to Lagos or coming to Abuja, they couldn't pass. So it's a general problem. It's an existential challenge, which we must all, join hands together to
Let's talk
overcome.
A bit about Nature News. How old is Nature News?
Nature News is barely 3 years old.
How can it be found?
Well, Nature News is available, online. There is www.naturenews.africa. In fact, from the conception of the founder, felt that he wants to make it the #1 in Africa. And so even the website,
Aliu,
yes. So even from the website, is naturenews.africa.
Oh, fantastic!
And in less than 3 years, it has been rated as the #1 in Africa. Fantastic. But based on an assessment of over 2,400, nature publications worldwide. So Nature News is there making its own contribution to climate mitigation.
Many thanks to you, Aliu Akosile, foremost journalist, more than 3 decades in the field of journalism, and an environmentalist, not only, as a person, but someone who's also passionate about ensuring that we leave this world better than we met it. Thank you very much for being
It's my pleasure being with you, Kem. I look forward to coming again.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
We wish you all the best. We hope that those who will listen to this will do something very necessary with regards to making the environment a better place. Well, as our tradition on Spotlight with Kem, we usually have a question from a previous guest for the next guest. The question that was dropped by Dr. Nii Sumonu for the next guest, even without knowing who it will be, was:
what can women do to earn their place with respect to governance in this country?
Women can do a lot in terms of ensuring sustainability of the environment, because by their natural, creature, they are like the nurturer. They bring people to the world, they nurture babies until adulthood. So I'm sorry to say there are so many distractions that women get themselves into. But environment is critical. So women, but I believe they are not doing too badly. The #2 civil servant in the world, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, she's a woman, a Nigerian. That delights my heart.
What's your question for the next guest?
My question for the next guest is we have a 2025 target to end open defecation in Nigeria. Is it feasible?
And that's our package today for you on Spotlight with Kem, where we looked at the environment. Remember, a better environment is dependent on the humans who live within it. We must all come together to decide that we want a better world by doing the right thing every time. Prioritize using paper bags against plastic. And of course, if you do use plastic, remember to make them available for recycling. My name is Kem Kem, and thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon.
Over the years, employability has moved from what you studied to what you can do. Knowledge that cannot be applied is useless in today's world. That is why at Summit University Offa, Sun Offa, owned by Ansarudin Society of Nigeria, our goal is not to produce only employable graduates, but to graduate entrepreneurs and job creators who shine in their world like the products of Sun Offa that they are. Enroll today by visiting www.summituniversity.edu.ng. Inter-university transfer is also available for undergraduates willing to complete their studies at Summit University Offa. Sun Offa. We shine like the sun.